get to a bigger point. Because the time comes, somewhat pun intended, for us to take the gloves off when it comes to Jake Paul.
After I beat Mike Tyson, the amount of people saying this is rigged was crazy.
And I can break his mentality, then I've broken Jake. So this is why it's going to be an interesting fight, because I just don't look at it from a physical standpoint.
According to reports, Stephen A. Smith is shocked when Anthony Joshua and Mike Tyson reveal Jake Paul's purported attempts at bribery. According to Smith, the sport has reached a breaking point. He contends that boxing ought to put an end to these absurd displays. He says Paul transforms fights into staged commercial transactions, thus gloves should be taken away. According to Smith, this conduct denigrates actual combatants and harms boxing's reputation globally.
Boxing is a skill. Let me give y'all an example. Remember Francis Ngannou? Remember that monster? That Nigerian nightmare? Remember him? And then we saw him show up and show a little skill against Tyson Fury, who came there out of shape. What happened when he got into the ring with Anthony Joshua? He got put to sleep, much in the same way Nate Robinson got put to sleep. Boxing is a skill.
Anthony Joshua has already made it apparent where he stands. AJ totally rejected the concept when asked if he would be lenient toward Jake Paul or adhere to any specific guidelines. Joshua made it clear that he cannot jeopardize his legacy on novelty bouts or predetermined outcomes, and that he will never compromise the sport for entertainment or financial gain. He said that as a world champion, he only fights for real and without conditions.
What I learned about Jake is, so when you look at the physicality stuff, and as you said, he's looking at my chest, I think Jake is someone where I got to beat him mentally, because he's a mental person. This is my observation. A lot of what Jake's preparation is based around is not only the physical aspects of training, but the way he thinks, meditation, breath work. And if I can break his soul and I can break his mentality, then I've broken Jake. So this is why it's going to be an interesting fight, because I just don't look at it from a physical standpoint. I know the person that's in front of me, and I know that I got to break it. That's why I said I got to take his soul. It's not just physical, I got to take your soul in the ring.
Only person that can do that is God.
I knew he was going to say that.
Is he with your brain?
No, I don't know. That's what I was gonna ask, is how do you plan on doing that? Like, when is it gonna start?
Because everything.
I mean, obviously in the fights different,
Yeah.
you know, but
Yeah.
I mean, when are you gonna start taking it?
I've just seen in fights when I can see someone's, let's call it energy, frequency leaving their body. And that's what my goal is to do the same to you. You have that instinct. You can see it. When you're fighting, you can just see a small glimmer of someone that's just about to start fading. And then you just keep exploiting that, keep exploiting it until some people give up, some people get knocked out. We'll figure out. But as I said, for me, it's not just going in there and being dominating physically. I want to break him down spiritually and mentally.
That's some deep boxing.
Jake Paul apparently tried to script parts of the fight, according to Mike Tyson. Tyson clarifies that since he is already financially stable and the fight could not alter his way of life, money was never an issue for him. He claims that it was just for personal reasons that he decided to enter the ring one final time. Tyson reportedly opposed any attempt to influence the result and did not fight for financial gain.
This fight is not going to change my lifestyle financially. I'm a fighter. I feel good. I can do it. I feel I can beat this guy.
Come on. Well, we're going to be in the building. I'm going to be there. Speaking of the exhibition with Roy, like, when that exhibition happened, man, I felt like it was two of my own.
Joe Rogan talks about the trend he sees in the boxing career of Jake Paul. Rogan claims that Jake frequently selects opponents who are larger physically but safer strategically in other respects. These pairings, he says, are not coincidental. Regardless of the sporting outcome, Rogan contends that these fighters assist Jake by drawing enormous attention and name value. Rogan notes that legends draw crowds just by entering the ring, citing Mike Tyson as an example. As a result, the value of entertainment surpasses that of competitiveness. Rogan suggests that the results frequently seem biased in Jake's favor, making fans wonder if these fights are real fights or well-planned spectacles meant to increase revenue and exposure. Man,
Like Nano is just play to your strengths.
Yeah,
no
but you know,
doubt.
you got to take that payday. I mean, what did he make out of that fight? He probably made $10 million or something.
Yeah.
And Jake Paul's very smart, man. Like he gets guys that he's
Bigger than,
the only
younger
time
than.
he fought another boxer his size was
He
Tom
lost.
Fury, and he lost. Tom Fury?
Good fight.
Tommy Fury.
Very
Tommy
good
Fury.
fight. Very good fight. You know, I think he's like any other young up-and-coming boxer. It's just everybody dismisses him because he's a YouTuber.
For
He's
sure.
a Disney
It's easy to dismiss him, but I was there when he knocked out Tyron, and I was like, man, I'm done with this kid. I was like, I never wanted to corner another fight in my life, man. I was like, yo, he just knocked my boy flat out on his face, man.
In response to these charges, Jake Paul categorically rejects them. He says that because they don't like his success, others are making up stories. Jake claims that the notion that fights are staged is a handy justification employed by detractors who reject his development as a boxer. He highlights that these contests are supervised by boxing commissions, which would never permit unlawful manipulation. Jake maintains that he trains diligently to achieve his victories and that each opponent enters the arena voluntarily. He sees the ongoing claims as evidence that he has upended the boxing industry and made traditional fans face a new reality they find difficult to accept.
The amount of people saying this is rigged was crazy. They like showed this clip of Mike Tyson going to swing at me with a left hook, and he like stopped doing it, but saw I had my right hand up. So he would have like swung like this, I catch it and shoot. He's leaning forward, like I could have knocked him out. So that's why he stopped throwing it. And it's like they play this one clip and it has literally 50 million views on it.
From the first moments of the battle, there was an obvious and frightening mismatch between Jake Paul and AJ. Michael Bisping, a former UFC champion, responded angrily, pointing out that Jake Paul lacked the skill necessary to take on a top heavyweight like Anthony Joshua. He characterized the fight as a lesson in actual professional boxing, where experience, skill, and timing are crucial. Joshua's blows were hard and precise, highlighting the class difference. Bisping emphasized that Paul lacked the skills, defense, and ring awareness necessary to defeat a top-tier boxer at that level. Hence, this outcome was unavoidable.
No, that wasn't the case at all. What we saw, in my humble opinion, because I'm a big Anthony Joshua fan. Of course, I've been a supporter for the longest time. A rather lackluster, unmotivated Anthony Joshua that didn't look like he was being particularly nasty, right? A lot of the time he was out of range, and okay, it is hard to land a shot on someone that's backing up and moving away the whole time. And there was a lot of times where he had him in the corner and he could have thrown a shot. And sometimes he was telegraphing his shots. And anytime he did go in to throw a punch, as I said before, Jake Paul would shoot in and turn it into a wrestling match. And even when he wasn't shooting in, he was clinching a lot. This is boxing, it's not MMA as we know. The referee should have done a much better job of getting in there and separating them much, much faster. As I say, it was the 6th round. I think it was the 4th round he got dropped twice. In the 5th round he got through it. In the 6th round, caught him with a jab, a glancing right hook. He goes down, and that was that. That was all she wrote, right? I did a live. There was about 9,000 people watching at one point. Nobody was particularly enjoying the matchup. Listen, okay? I respect both men. I respect anyone really that steps into the ring, okay? And certainly going up against Anthony Joshua, that was a tall task, okay? You know, metaphorically and figuratively, right? It was a tall task. It was a big job. It was a tough opponent. It was a mismatch, and it was, right? Jake Paul never worried Anthony Joshua once. He never rung his bell. He never caused any damage. He never had him worried. He never did anything. It wasn't a fight. It was a display of how long can Jake Paul last? Can he run away long enough?
Influencer boxing, according to critics, altered the fundamentals of sports. The emphasis moved from skill and legacy to views and cash when YouTubers and celebrities got involved in boxing. Many people think that hype, not competence, is now the foundation of conflicts. Once characterized by discipline and skill, the art of boxing is now viewed as less important than marketing tactics. There are claims that financial success is more important than results because these tournaments bring in enormous sums of money from sponsorships and streaming partnerships. Influencer boxing, with the influencer donning boxing gloves, is perceived by traditional fans as produced entertainment rather than competition.
I mean, so many politics, even with, MMA, man, there's so many politics. There's no more art anymore. It's just, let's get an influencer in there. I get it. It's like generating money because our attention span is so short. You look at clips now, it's like 7 seconds. You know, I saw a dude slamming a lady the other day and they were like, oh my God, that dude is, I'm like, well, what the do? I'm just gonna pick somebody and slam them. You know, where's the whole video? And our attention span is just so small. So money talks, of course. Yeah, let's get an influencer in there who has no style, but it.
Fans and commentators harshly criticized the bout between Mike Tyson and Jake Paul. Many people think the fight appeared artificial and unduly managed. The performance is even more difficult to take given Tyson's reputation as one of the most fearsome boxers in history. Viewers wonder why Tyson seemed restrained and why opportunities to alter the outcome of the fight never happened. This battle represents everything that is wrong with influencer boxing, according to critics. It strengthens the idea that legendary combatants aren't really competing, but are instead being utilized to justify contemporary spectacles. The level of scrutiny rises as additional footage becomes available. Moments when pacing seems deliberate and violence seems subdued are noted by observers. The fight's cadence deviates from what spectators anticipate from real high-stakes boxing. This raises more questions about whether the incident was planned to preserve particular narratives. The visual clues are sufficient to sustain the argument even in the absence of proof of wrongdoing. Every time the topic of choreographed fights comes up, the battle is used as a benchmark, which increases public skepticism about Jake Paul's biggest fights.
Currently being sued over their Jake Paul-Mike Tyson fight. And it's not because people think the fight was rigged, though I have questions, and that's what we'll get into. It's because it didn't work. And a lot of people were buffering and unable to watch it despite signing up to pay for it. Now, the bigger question I have about this fight is, how come no one is suing over the fight being rigged? There's a lot of questions, and there's evidence piling up that suggests it may have been somewhat rigged. Now, there's varying degrees of arguments. The first is that Tyson was required to complete 8 rounds for money. Some say that's how it was rigged. He's not going to go all out to shut down Jake Paul because he wants $20 million. Others have said he was told he's not allowed to do uppercuts because that would end Jake Paul and probably hurt him very badly. Those are the two principal conspiracies, I suppose. One is that Mike Tyson actually pulled his punches completely and tried to avoid fighting, which falls in line with that first conspiracy, I suppose, of rigging. Now, of course, my friends, you know, if you watched my video from before the fight, I thought it was going to be rigged for Tyson. Jake Paul doesn't look good having beat up an old man. I'm like, they're going to do something to have Mike Tyson win in the later rounds, and that way it'll be like the boomers and the Gen Xers who love boxing will see the champ fight one more time. Jake Paul is a young man. There's no harm in a young man losing to the great Tyson. They might say you got beat up by an old man. I'll be like, it was Mike Tyson. But maybe Jake Paul's got too much of an ego for that. So I was wrong. What I was right about, I was half right. I said if Jake Paul wins this, people are going to be pissed. And it sucked. You know, we all watched it, and then
Nikisa Badarian intervenes to refute the criticism. He vehemently disputes any kind of scripting or manipulation, claiming that professional boxing rules forbid and prohibit such behavior. He contends that in some rounds, Jake truly outperformed what the judges gave him credit for. Losses and criticism are a part of the sport, particularly when it involves popularity, according to Badarian. Despite the criticism, he thinks Jake has more followers. According to him, animosity frequently increases along with celebrity, and regardless of the facts, Jake's growing notoriety inevitably sparks controversy.
Tyson and Joshua. So that would have meant, 3-2 for Joshua heading into the 6th round, which again, a lot of people thought that he would dispose of him rather quickly. Can you give us an update on how he's doing? We know that he broke his jaw in multiple places, 2 places to be exact, and I believe he has revealed that he's had surgery since. How is he doing? How is he feeling?
He's doing great. Obviously, there's periods of time during the day where there's a lot of pain, periods of time where there is no pain actually. Recovery process is 5 to 6 weeks, and he's focused on coming back as a boxer in 2026. This is a sport that he loves. This is a sport that saved him from the path that he was on in the past. And I think in a funny way, I'm kind of glad he didn't win. And I know that may sound harsh, but imagine if Jake Paul, 5 years into the sport in reality, probably 3 years into the sport in terms of 3.5 years in terms of fighting top level competition who are fighters, beat Anthony Joshua? What would be the motivation to continue to get better, to double down on your training, to grind even harder? Had he had beaten Anthony Joshua? So Jake always says the best lessons or the best wins are from your losses, and I believe that happened with Tommy Fury, and I 100% believe that happened here. Because if Jake is truly passionate about this sport, he now realizes that he has to even commit more time, more resources, more days into elevating his craft.
So you know, the injury obviously is different than your typical injury, because obviously it's right there. That's where you're getting punched, and as we were talking about with Eddie earlier, like that could sometimes change the trajectory of one's career, and there are some people who don't come back. Some do. Some have had great careers after breaking their jaw. Is there any part of you after seeing that says to yourself, hey man, you've made millions of dollars, it's been incredible, we built this thing, it's lasting far longer than your career, right? MVP can be a thing with or without Jake. Saw the event in July. We don't need to do this anymore. You proved your point. I don't want to see you get hurt.
I think that's all.
Another reason for skepticism is Jake's actions prior to the battle with Tyson. He openly declares that even before he enters the ring, he is certain he will win. Although boxers are known for their confidence, others believe that this assurance went beyond preparedness. Some onlookers believe that he has already made up his mind about the outcome because of his composed manner and confident remarks. Skeptics perceive this assurance more as someone who anticipates a predictable course of events than as a competitive mindset. Jake's responses following the altercation bolster public mistrust. Instead of relief or weariness, his body language conveys satisfaction. Fans draw comparisons between this and traditional fighters who, following difficult fights, exhibit obvious emotional release. Suspicion that there was no actual risk at the event is heightened by the contrast. Critics view it as proof that there was never any real ambiguity in the contest, while supporters see calmness and maturity. Widespread incredulity is sparked by the altercation between Jake Paul and Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. throughout the fight. Julio seems remarkably passive. He seldom ever presses Jake and doesn't throw many punches. For a lot of viewers, Julio doesn't seem to be competing, but rather just being there. Claims that the battle was never meant to be competitive are strengthened by this. Unless there was a lack of motivation, supporters find it difficult to comprehend why an experienced fighter would execute with such lack of urgency.
That's a really interesting choice, because it is a choice. And if you look at 90% of fights out there and you ask the person what's going to happen, they speak about what they're going to do physically. You know, I'm going to knock him out. I'm going to give him a beating. I'm going to win. Something about their capacity physically. But this is Mike Tyson successful. And if you really think about that, if you look at this fight and look at the outcome, I would say since one half left with $40 million and the other half, the sum that's being talked about is $20 million, yeah, I would say that's pretty successful. Basically what I'm saying is that the adjective successful doesn't necessarily speak to the result of the fight. It doesn't necessarily speak to his capacity in the fight. It could be successful monetarily. It could be successful in the sense that he lasted at his age 8 rounds, so he feels like that's a personal success. Then he says victorious, which I guess is much more related to him suggesting that he's actually going to win. He's going to be the victorious one in the fight. And it's interesting that he said victorious as opposed to I'm going to win, I'm going to knock him out, which is a more concrete promise, quote unquote. But still, that successful is really interesting to me, that's where his mind went first. Then, after he provides the answer, Mike Tyson, successful, victorious, he himself changes the subject. He immediately gets off the topic and says, today is Ramadan, it's my holy holiday, so I can't say how I truly feel. Which, saying that he can't say how he truly feels, really corresponds with that.
Pauli Malignaggi offers a different viewpoint. He speculates that financial motive may be the problem rather than a solution. This perspective holds that Julio's low punch count is more indicative of poor preparation than of scripting. According to Molina GI, hunger vanishes when combatants battle primarily for financial gain. Performance inherently deteriorates when there is no desire to win. This reading highlights issues with influence or boxing while shifting the blame away from Jake. It implies that rather than being motivated by pride, the system itself encourages combatants to turn up for their payments.
A couple of shocking results I think that Jake Paul undercards and the promotional arm of his brand, I think, is the most fun part of what Jake Paul brings to boxing. Honestly, I think long term, I think that's what we can all hope for. Because Jake's fights are, this one was borderline atrocious, and kind of the writing was on the wall. But I gotta admit, even I bought drank the Kool-Aid, and mainly I drank the Kool-Aid because Chavez Sr., who also is disgraceful for doing this, made me believe, and I think, this has been the problem with Chavez Jr. He's been enabled constantly by the media, the promoters, his family, and all this other stuff. So he never really shows up prepared. He never cares and just shows up to get paid and basically steals the bag every single time. And he did it tonight again. The reason I actually thought this fight had a chance was because Chavez Sr. Guaranteed us that his son was motivated and was having a training camp. So as much of a Hall of Fame career as the father had, the con artist, I guess, must run in the family, because Junior's been a con artist his whole career, but at least he's been enabled through it, But now the father doing this, I mean, you knew already your son wasn't going to be ready. You put your own reputation on the line and sold us this crap. And then ultimately your son throws what most guys will throw in a round. He throws it through 10 rounds. It was actually kind of...
That concludes the video for today. Keep an eye out. Until the next occasion.